Wow. I enjoyed that. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you,
Please.
Ryan.
Wow, you're in fine voice, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. How can you not with a wonderful band like
ladies
this?
and
How
gentlemen,
about
the band?
this
Yeah.
band?
Absolutely. Great stuff.
I want to take this band on the road,
I think
Ryan.
you should.
I really do.
I think you
take
should.
it. Absolutely. How are you?
That's brass with sass, that
oh,
is.
fabulous. You
Good
look
stuff.
terrific.
Yeah, listen, you don't look half bad yourself.
Not bad for a 40-year-old.
I'll tell you.
Thank you.
You're rejuvenating. The last time I met you, you were 84.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, sorry. I always like to just get the truth out there early
Yeah,
so we
absolutely,
can enjoy ourselves.
absolutely.
Honestly, 85 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Buddy Greco. It's great. Keep going. Keep on going. Hey, listen, that's one of my favourite songs of all time.
Thank you.
And it's a song we associate, obviously, with you, but also, as you mentioned there in your introduction, to Frank Sinatra. And,
Absolutely.
you know, he was a pal of yours.
We were friends, Ryan, for over 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, really good friends. And every once in a while, people really try to associate me with the Rat Pack. In a way, I was, but not really.
Yeah.
You know, I always had a career, but every time they were doing a show and they wanted to do something different, they picked up the phone and say, hey, Greco, come over here and let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And we did have a lot of fun, and I'm sure most of the people know.
But you know, he loved you so much he kissed you, and I think that's really
Thank
important.
you very much.
No, I think that if you're going to be kissed by anyone, get kissed by
He
Sinatra.
might get kissed by Sinatra. Why not?
Because you get the impression that he was the sort of guy that was testy, a bit difficult, Buddy. You know, you might get on his wrong side and it's game over.
Well, Ryan, you really had to, if you were lucky enough to know him, and I really consider myself very lucky
Sure.
that I knew him for all of these years, but if he liked you, he liked you. If he didn't like you, you just had no chance.
Sure.
But we all kind of knew that every once in a while. I mean, how would you like to be Frank Sinatra 24 hours a day? It's ridiculous. You know, there were times that I would go up to him, and his shoulders would be kind of hunched up like this, and that meant, turn around and go away. Do not talk to me. But he was very gracious and a very lovely man, and all of us, I mean, me and Jack Jones and Vic Damone, and all of us owe him so much, because we were all band singers. I was 19-year-old band singer with Benny Goodman.
Sure.
And, you know, not making any money or anything. And he created a life for us that we had the joy of working all over the world with the best bands in the world and making a very good living. And I came from a very poor family. And to this day, I just thank the good Lord that I knew him.
You had a lot of fun getting here today. I mean,
Thank you. A lot of fun.
I'm looking at pictures of you with Dean Martin here, and you know, you get the impression that you weren't in bed by 9 p.m. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, 9 a.m. is a little better.
Was it like that? I mean, is that just a myth, or did you go and party?
It's not a myth, right? We really, when we played a lot, we played a lot. When we worked a lot, we worked a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, how can you not have fun when you're singing with four of the greatest singers in the world?
Yeah.
You're working the best places in the world. And while you're on stage, somebody has the bright idea to roll out a cart with every drink in the world that you could imagine.
Yes.
And while we're singing, we're having a drink and having fun. I mean, we were like the Dead End Kids. I mean, really, it was wonderful.
We were thinking of introducing that to this show. You know, bring the cart back. You know,
that would be a great idea.
Wouldn't it? Loosen
Especially
people up
the
a
guys
bit.
in the band.
They
would
love
like
that. They love all that. But it's Good Friday. We're not allowed tonight. But next time maybe. But you had the fun with them. I mean, was it girls and booze and shenanigans?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, what a pity.
I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, yeah, we drank a lot and played around a lot, and it was a marvelous time, Ryan, that will never, ever happen again.
Sure.
I happen to be very lucky, one of the few people to be around during that era, and every night was a party. I mean, but we worked hard and we studied hard, and as I said, when we played hard, we really had a lot of fun.
Why did you roll a piano off stage?
Oh, my God.
Why did you do that?
Well, first of all, you know, I'm Italian, and being an Italian, please don't hold that against me, but I had a terrible temper when I was...
You have a Latin temper.
A Latin temper.
Okay.
And one place I was working in Chicago, and there was a gentleman sitting right there, and he had a big cigar.
Sure.
And while I was working, he would blow smoke in my face. Now, you don't do that to anyone, but especially a singer, because the cigar smoke will just clear my throat up, and I'm trying to make a living. And I said to him, please stop that. And I continued singing. And he kept doing it. I said, look, if you're going to do that again, I'm going to roll this piano off. And he went, yeah, sure. Well, I did.
Good.
Almost. I mean, it was that much from hanging, but I mean, I normally don't do things like, yes, I guess I do.
Can I talk to you about Marilyn Monroe?
Who?
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, we have a lovely photo of you with Marilyn Monroe, and only a week before she died, and she's such an iconic woman that people, you know, like us watching and talking to you tonight and watching you tonight, will have no idea what it was really like to meet somebody like her in the flesh and to be a friend of hers. So could you maybe humanize the icon and tell us what she was like as a human being?
Well, first of all, she was very smart.
Yeah.
She was not a dumb blonde. She was very smart.
Sure.
Very bright lady. And unfortunately, she had kind of a very strange life. I mean, people would constantly take advantage of her. But the Marilyn that I knew, and I was very fortunate to know her, she was very gracious. And we spent some time together. I met her many, many times. She liked to work, and she liked to come down to little clubs that I would be playing with my little jazz trio.
Yeah.
And we became very friendly, and that went over through the years. And one particular time I was appearing at the Cal Neva, and Frank was working. I couldn't call him Frank because he was a friend of mine.
We're all friends.
Oh,
now,
we're all friends.
but, yeah.
Mr. Sinatra was working in the big room, and I was working in the lounge. And all of a sudden, there must have been 500 or 600 people in the lounge, and I was sitting with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis and Dean Martin, Rhonda Fleming, a whole bunch of people, and Marilyn came through the door. And it was bizarre. It was like everything stopped. And it's like nobody talked, nobody said anything. And she looked around the room and she said, "Why are all these people looking at me?" And I said, "'Cause you're Marilyn Monroe, that's why."
Yeah.
So I think Frank got a little upset because he wanted to clear the room out a little bit and give her a chance to have a drink or whatever. And she went out of the room and I walked her to her bungalow, and that was really the last night that I saw her. And 3 days later she was gone. I was very fortunate to have taken a roll of film with a lot of the shots of Marilyn and I, but most of them were put in a building in 9/11 that were destroyed. But I have the last 6 pictures ever taken of Marilyn alive.
And that's why...
That's one of them.
This is one of them.
That's one of them.
And you see Frank Sinatra's in behind you going,
Yeah,
"Hey,
the guy reading the paper is Sinatra.
Yeah. It kind of says it has a look in his face and "Get your hands off her."
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, doesn't
Look
he
at
have
his
that look?
eyes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's kind of scary in some
Scary.
ways. I think that, you know, we talk about, as you say, Mr. Sinatra and the rest of those boys, but Nat King Cole was really your guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
As what? As a mentor, or as an influence, or as somebody you simply admired?
Well, first of all, he was a mentor,
Sure.
all right? And he was probably the most underrated jazz piano player. I mean, he was a great, even if he never sang a note, he was a great jazz piano player. And we had a lot in common. We were both singers, we were both jazz piano players, we both had perfect pitch, and we both listened to the same kind of songs. And to this day, I mean, I've never met anybody as gracious, as nice as Mr. Nat Cole.
Yeah.
And he was just a very dear friend and a big influence to me.
The resurgence of the lounge music kind of started in the 90s to an extent, because
Yeah.
it kind of became very uncool in the 70s and 80s to an extent, and then it just came back in vogue again. And your resurgence, if you like, and Tony Bennett and so forth, Andy Williams to an extent, fed another generation,
That's
the
right.
likes of Harry Connick Jr., Michael
Bublé.
Bublé.
Right.
How do you rate the likes of Michael Bublé? He's been here several times.
I know, I
The
heard
audience
him.
love him, as you know. But what do you think of him?
I think Michael Bublé is a very, very talented young man. He is definitely on the right track. But I think why most of us in our later life
Yes.
really adore him, because he's keeping our music alive. And because of him, and here I am at my age, and I'm still working.
Yeah.
I just came out with my 72nd album.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
That's a lot of music.
That's a lot of albums.
Yeah, a lot of wives, too, but I won't go there now.
You're here with your number...
5. Oh, stop that. No, I must say, I've had some very, very lovely women in my life. And 20 years ago, I was appearing at the Desert Inn. And sharing the bill with me was this very beautiful lady, great singer. And I would, night after I get through my show, I would go and listen to her and watch her. And the talk of Las Vegas then was, you've got to go see Leslie Anders.
Yes.
I was working with Buddy Greco, and all of a sudden, every act, Frank would come in 2 or 3 times a week. Every act would come in and listen to her and look at her. And she's sitting right there.
Yeah, Leslie very
That's
welcome,
Leslie
obviously, yeah.
Anders right there.
And
Great sing.
you mentioned Frank Sinatra towards the end of his day. You were one of his pallbearers, weren't you,
Yeah.
at his funeral?
Yeah.
And you know, when you see the likes of Dino and Sammy and Frank and people of your generation passing away, do you feel sort of melancholic or nostalgic, or do you feel fired up to go forth and continue?
Both.
Really?
I feel very melancholy that I miss them. They were a big part of my life. But then on the other hand, I thank the good Lord that here I am at my age,
Yeah.
still making records, still doing well, still married to a beautiful lady like that after 20 years. And it gives me the incentive, Brian, not only for myself, but for older people out there who say, now look, here's a guy that's 85.
Yeah.
He's still making records, he's still performing, because if he could do it, I could do it. And there are a lot of older men that come up to me and say, thank you for what you've done to our business, because I thought my life at 80 was over.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel good, you know?
Well, I think older people deserve a lot more respect than they get.
Absolutely. You know, I'm so glad that you said that, because what happens a lot of the times, a lot of the older people are invisible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sadly
that's
and
not right.
cruelly, actually.
They shouldn't be. They're people. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
And I'm very fond of the people who like my music, and Leslie, and doing shows like yours that I really thank you
Can
for.
Can I comment on? I love you're very debonair and
thanks.
but that's really classic old school quality. But
you.
I'm just struck by your cuff there that you have. Is a monogram? Is it BG there on your?
Yeah, it means beer guzzler.
See that? Can you pick that up?
This little thing here?
that little thing just to see. That's really that's quality stuff you've got going on.
Oh, thank you
there.
very much.
So what are the plans for the future? Obviously, you're just starting out in your career, buddy, and it's all happening. So what's next for you?
Well, I want to be busy. Leslie and I started a record company. She has about 3 or 4 albums out. She's a brilliant, brilliant singer. And the thing is that, and I can be very honest because she's sitting here,
Yes.
Being married to somebody like me, whether it's me or Sinatra or whoever it is, it's very tough because she has to fight the fact that she's Mrs. Buddy Greco.
Yeah.
And she's only in the show because she's my wife. That's not true. If she wasn't good, she wouldn't be in the show. And when people see her, we did a show that she wrote called Fever, which was a tribute to Peggy Lee, a dear friend of ours.
Yes.
And Peggy loved her. So now there's a new show that we're preparing for this year. What's the name of the show, honey? Called Singers? No, we keep changing it around.
Songbirds. That's appropriate, yeah.
And it features the music of people like Peggy and Lena Horne and Joe Stafford, and naturally she's the star of the show. And beside that, she can cook too.
Well, that's a great bonus.
That's a great bonus.
Cooking and singing, you have it all sorted out.
I've got
there.
it all done.
You truly are an Italian legend. You've got that.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm a legend.
Not at all. We're going to hear you sing again, but will you promise to come back?
Just ask me. I would love to come back.
We'd love to see it.
I love working here, and I just got to tell you a very quick story.
Please do.
if I
Yeah,
may.
no, work away.
A couple of years ago, I was working in Cork, and we were doing a show, and I just love working here. And in the middle of the show, I was singing "The More I See You," which was a big hit for me. And in the middle of "The More I See You," there's a very sensitive, quiet thing, and there must have been 900 people in the audience. And I'm singing this phrase very quiet. All of a sudden, this man, about 6'12", stood up and he said, "Welcome to Ireland, buddy." And that did it. I fell on the floor.
Yeah, too much. Will you sing for us once more, please?
I would love to.
How nice to see you. Buddy Greco, everyone.
Thank you
Nice
so
to see you.
much.
Make your way over there.
Thank you.
Buddy. Okay.